Why moving to the greater Indianapolis area is a smart move, especially if you're trying to get away from harsh weather and flooding. First of all, this video is not being insensitive about the flooding areas that have had recent impact here in the United States or any harsh weather that happens here in the near future. I'm just saying, maybe if you're getting tired of those harsh weather conditions, always worrying about flooding, hurricanes, things like that, you might want to take a look at the greater Indianapolis Metropolitan Area, because the greater Indianapolis Metropolitan Area has urban excitement and natural beauty without the constant worry of harsh weather and flooding. I get asked all the time what the weather is like around here. Does it rain? Do you have tornadoes? Do you have snow? Does it get cold? All those things like that. And guys, I've grown up in this area, born and raised in the Midwest, in Indiana, Indianapolis, and things have changed with the weather, but I do have to tell you this. It is a great place to live if you enjoy the four seasons: summer, fall, winter, spring. We have all those. Now, some of them are shorter than they used to be. Say winter, it doesn't get as bad as it used to. When I was growing up, blizzard of 78, where the snow was so deep, it came up to the eaves of the second story, because we had the drifts were coming through. We were living across from a farm and just an open cornfield, so the drifts were coming through. Matter of fact, we climbed up on our on the first story and built like a little ramp for snow and slid down. So we don't get snow like that. It's been 10 years plus since we've received 55 plus inches. Now we normally get probably about 5-6 inches for the whole season of snow. Now we do get cold. Usually you can guarantee that the second week, sometime in January, around the second week, we would get the really super cold freezes. Usually the wind chill will get down to 25, 30 negative Fahrenheit. So yeah, it does get cold as far as that goes, but it doesn't last the whole snow season or winter season. It comes in, and then next thing you know, boom, it's warming up. Because last year in January, we're hitting temperatures 55, 60 degrees. Believe it or not, we're actually warmer at times than places down in the south that normally would be warmer than us, say Florida, Texas, those kind of areas. Now, our summers, we do get warm. If we're over 90 degrees, we are counting the days of how many days straight we're over 90 degrees. Now, with those 90 degrees, we do have the humidity. So if you're coming from Florida and you're coming up into Indiana, you're going to feel at home. If you're coming from Texas, you're going to feel at home coming up. Well, Texas is a little bit more dry. If you're coming from Arizona, Arizona is really dry. So as soon as you come up here, it might be 90, 95 degrees, and you're going to be like, whoa, it is so humid. I could feel it as soon as I got off the airplane. Well, yeah, we do have humidity because it does rain here. Now, it was here recently. What are we at? Okay, so for 4 weeks, I didn't have to cut my grass because it didn't rain. I didn't water my grass either because I wanted to, be conservative as far as, the conservation of water. But I didn't have to cut my grass for 4 weeks. Now, it was that dry grass that was growing up, 4, 5, 6 inches, but I didn't have to cut it. And that was a nice thing about certain times every single year that happens, usually August, September, where it gets really hot and we go into like you could say a drought, because things start turning brown around here. Now in the fall, usually about the second, third week in October, you're going to see all the leaves changing and you're going to get those beautiful fall colors of the yellows, reds, oranges. So if you like that, you'll always see those here in Indiana. When it comes to the weather here, we do get rain. In the spring, you could usually count from, say, March, April, all the way through May, because if you're up here in May for the race, you're always wondering, is it going to be dry on race day? and race day is always the last Sunday of the month right before Memorial Day. So if it does rain on Sunday, then they can postpone it and move it to Monday. That has happened before, but if they get past 101 laps, then they can call the race. But I just want you to know that we do have rain. So the saying of April showers brings May flowers is so true. Now, as far as flooding goes, that's one thing we don't have to worry about because we're 600 plus feet in elevation. Now, I know there's other areas that recently had flooding in North Carolina because they thought they were up at elevation of 3,000 feet, and all that water came down into the valley off the mountains. Now we are really super flat here. We do have our lakes and streams, and we do have water as far as those water activities, big lakes, the streams, the rivers are not big like some places where you would put boats and things like that out there. But they're there to direct the water away. You know, the good thing about Indianapolis, it's affordable living. There's plenty of jobs, growing job market. There's lots to do around here. Did you know that Indiana has a beach up at Lake Michigan, 42 miles of beachfront? So we're actually about 2.5, 3 hours, depending on what direction you go, up to Indiana Dunes. You could be up there living just like you would be down in Florida. Now the water is a little bit colder, but you're going to get the same view. And if there was palm trees up there, you would think you were in Florida. Oh, another fun fact. This area gets 200 days of sunshine. You wouldn't think that here in the Midwest, would you? With all those days of sunshine, there's plenty of parks, trails, lakes, rivers, outdoor activity that you can go partake in. All right, let's take a jump over here to redfin.com, and we're going to look at the climate that they say for the Indianapolis area. And it says here, flood factors moderate, 16% of properties are at risk of severe flooding over the next 30 years. Now, as far as fire, we don't have to worry about fires like you do out west, out in California, Washington, Montana, Wyoming, California. You don't have to worry about that kind of thing because it says less than 1% of properties are at risk of wildfire over the next 30 years. We don't have massive forests here that dry up and have to worry about those kind of fires. Now, as far as a wind factor, we don't, well, a lot of people ask also, it's like, Devin, aren't you worried about tornadoes? Well, let me tell you this. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a meteorologist, so I studied the weather. I paid attention. I used to have a grandfather that would take me on rides with him out in Kansas, and he was a safety supervisor for a trucking company, and he would go around to all the different companies or the docks or whatever you want to call them, and he would do safety inspections on them. So I would go with him, and we'd drive out in Kansas, Oklahoma, and one of the things he would do is he would pay attention to where the weather was, and if he heard that there was going to be a storm system, he would go towards it so we could see the tornadoes. So as far as tornadoes, that kind of thing, I'm not worried about it. We get plenty of warning whenever there's that kind of system in the area. I've never been affected by a tornado, and I've lived in the Midwest all my life, except for the times that I was in the military, lived in Turkey and then California, and then in 21 I did live down in Florida, and that was on the Atlantic coast down the Melbourne area. So as far as tornadoes go, I'm not really afraid of them. Now, when this last system, as far as a hurricane, was up in the Gulf, it skirted up through Florida, up the side of that, and then came across North Carolina, and then we did receive some rain and wind from that, but the wind, we're looking at 25, 30 mile an hour winds. The rain was not a downpour. It was more of a sprinkle kind of thing, just kind of constant. And then, we would get the increase of more rain coming down, and then it would go away. So it wasn't to the point that it was just pouring down and we had to worry about our streets flooding and that kind of thing. Now, I do suggest that if you ever do come to the Midwest or wherever you are at and you're looking to buy a property, go to the FEMA website, type in the address, and see if that property falls into a floodplain or if it's even close to a flood area. So guys, if you're looking for a great area, definitely check out the Midwest, Indiana, the Greater Indianapolis Metropolitan Area, looking for a good, safe, conservative area where you can raise a family, not have to worry about extreme weather, extreme heat, extreme cold, extreme flooding, rain, anything like that. You might want to check out the Greater Indianapolis Metropolitan Area and raise your family here. So guys, if you have any questions about what the weather is like, feel free to leave me a comment down below. I'll be glad to answer those questions for you anytime, whether it's about the weather, what it's like living here, the housing market, whatever it is. Feel free to leave me a comment, ask me a question, I'll be glad to answer that. Also, all my contact information is down below. Feel free to reach out to me if you're interested and looking to move to this area, because I'd be glad to help you out, whether you're looking to move here in the next 9 days or 90 days. If you have any questions about the market, say, Devin, what about out in Avon, Brownsburg, Plainfield, Zionsville, Whitestown, Westfield, Carmel, Fishers. If you're looking to move to any of those areas, I'd be glad to help you out. If you're looking into, downtown Indianapolis, Greenwood, Mooresville, guys, I got you covered. Just feel to reach out to me. Say, hey, we're looking in these areas. What do you think? What kind of price point? What kind of houses? And I'll go to work for you. I'll go to work for you and help you out to pick that area. Now, a lot of people choose an area by a school system, and that's pretty cool too. Now, I can't direct you one way or the other as far as what school system is better, but down below in the description, you're going to see a link down there that you can click on and just check out all the different schools in the area. Do your own research, do your due diligence, check out the area, say, hey, I actually like this area better than this because based on the schools, So do that, do your due diligence, and do your research. If you need any help outside of that, I'd be glad to help you out. Go down, like I said in the description, you'll see all my contact information. Feel free to reach out. Be glad to help you out.